Namaskar and welcome to this special presentation. Farmers' protests are raging for over several weeks around the national capital. It's a fact. Disturbing violence took place on Republic Day in the name of tractor rally is also a fact. Police and administration are making elaborate preparations to ensure that such disturbing episodes of violence are not repeated is also a fact. Now, none of these facts indicate that any genocide of farmers is taking place in India. But if some provocative online hashtags are to be believed, they project India as the worst place for farmers in the world. What is more terrible is that popular celebrities like Rihanna, Greta Thunberg are found propagating some of these one-sided narratives over the sensitive issue. In the next half an hour, we seek to decode the apparent subversion of the online space for anti-India narrative. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. You're watching India Against Propaganda. The Ministry of External Affairs has responded to the recent comments made by foreign individuals, entities on the ongoing farmers' protest. Issuing a clear, detailed statement, the ministry has urged that before rushing to comment on such matters, all the facts about the issue be ascertained and one should have a proper understanding of the issues at hand. MEA has further stated that the temptation of sensationalist social media hashtags, comments, especially when resorted to by celebrities and others, is neither accurate nor responsible. Amidst these developments, Bollywood celebrities Akshay Kumar, Ajay Devgan, Sunil Shetty, singer Kailash Kher, senior leaders on Wednesday have appealed that citizens should focus on government's efforts to resolve the ongoing farmer crisis. The protests, rather than paying attention to half-truths and those creating differences in the society. And sharing the MEA statement on Twitter, actor Akshay Kumar said that efforts by the government to solve the issue are evident. We're going to, one after the other, show those tweets as they've come in from celebrities across the country. Farmers constitute an extremely important part of our country. Akshay Kumar says, let's support an amicable resolution rather than paying attention to anyone creating differences. Folded hands, India together, India against propaganda. Actor Sunil Shetty has also shared the MEA statement on Twitter, saying nothing is more dangerous than half-truth. Says we must always take a comprehensive view of things, as there is nothing more dangerous than half-truths. Hashtag India against propaganda. Singer Kailash Kher said anti-India forces can stoop to any level to defame the country. Even in this phase of the pandemic, India is helping all nations with vaccine supply. Let us all realize that India is one and will not tolerate comments against it. Hashtag India against propaganda. Besides celebrities, senior BJP leader and Chief JP Nadda said India stands united against all attempts to malign the country through propaganda and fake narratives. Leaders across the country have come upfront talking about the ways in which India must fight back against this propaganda. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also tweeted before rushing to comment on such matters. We would urge that the facts be ascertained and a proper understanding of the issues at hand be undertaken. That's a tweet that came in from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And the government has issued notice to Twitter to comply with its order to remove contents accounts related to farmer genocide-like tags. Content on farmer genocide hashtag was posted on Twitter, which was designed to inflame passion, hatred, and spread factually incorrect information. This is motivated campaign to abuse, inflame, and create tensions in the society on unsubstantiated grounds. Ministry of Electronics and IT directed Twitter to block some 250 tweets, Twitter accounts that were propagating hashtags on farmer genocide, making fake and provocative tweets on 30th January. This was done on the request of Ministry of Home Affairs and law enforcement agencies to prevent any escalation of law and order in view of the ongoing farmer agitation. Twitter has blocked these tweets and Twitter accounts spreading fake news. And to take this discussion over the important issue forward, two very special guests are joining me for this program. Praful Ketkar, a senior journalist, is joining us. Also, Professor Harshvardhan Pant, distinguished fellow, ORF Observer Research Foundation. Good evening, gentlemen, and a warm welcome. My colleague Amritpal Singh is also joining us, who will bring us up to speed with the developments on the government front. Praful, if I can begin with you. Protests that have been taking place for the past few weeks, at some level they uphold and celebrate India's democratic ethos, because that is the space where protests are possible. But they're being distorted and tagged as potential genocide. How worrisome is the situation according to you?
See, I have been always mentioning this, that now it seems that there is a battle of fake narratives. And this is a classic example of this. Using democratic space to demean democracy is a pattern. And that pattern is evolving around, certain forces which create or use and misuse certain situations which look apparently spontaneous, apolitical, grassroots, non-violent kind of protest, agitations, but their intent is to actually destabilize democracy through violent means. Now, if you take the farmers' protest, I believe that there are three elements involved in this. One, the genuine farmers having certain concerns about the farm bills, whether they are true or not, but they can have certain concerns, because when you are going for certain change, there will be apprehensions. And government is trying its best to communicate with the farmers regarding this. Two, there are political forces within India who are trying to take benefit of this, and riding on the farmers' sentiments and apprehensions, they want to create their space. But there is a larger force within India and outside India who are unelectable, unaccountable. They are self-declared celebrities. They use and manipulate either social media platforms, and create fake narratives. And that is the most dangerous things. When these three things come together, it poses danger to... Now, I just have this question in mind. Have you ever heard these people talking about, every day there are reports coming about the genocide and the atrocities that are taking place of minorities in Pakistan or Uyghurs in China, but they will never talk about this, simply because it doesn't suit their ideological positioning. They will always do that with democracies. And that is the basic problem.
Right.
They misuse the democratic space to undermine the democracy, because they essentially don't believe in democracy. That is the crux.
Right. Harsh, if I can come to you. Farmers' protest, the deadlock is a reality. 11 rounds of talks have taken place. That's also reality. But do you think the disturbing pattern that we see now, in a manner in which the protests, the agenda, the issue is being hijacked by vested interests, and we see that playing out in a very disturbing manner in the online space in particular?
This celebrity activism based on ignorance combined with big technology is perhaps one of the biggest challenges that democracy today faces. And across the world, this is not India, not only in India. And the challenge here is that in a democracy like India, we will always have these policy issues, political process related issues, where a normal policy process issue would be taken away from what it is supposed to do, and then conjured into something which it is clearly not. And this is exactly what is happening with the farm laws. Now, a completely normal political process in this country, a policy process in this country, a law that has been passed through the parliament, not approved by certain sections of the farming community, but that's normal, that's healthy democracy at work. And as you mentioned at the very beginning, this is what democracy is all about. You have reservations about a particular issue, about a particular law. You protest. You protest in a manner that sustains democracy at its very foundations. Now, those protests are now we are being told that somehow Indian democracy is taking away the rights of individual farmers. Now, Indian democracy actually is giving that right to the ordinary farmer to register that protest in a manner which befits the stature of Indian democracy. And that's exactly what has been happening. Government has been reaching out, government has been talking, 11 rounds have happened. There is a policy logjam at the moment, but that is for the Indian policy making establishment and political process to resolve. It is, when the celebrity journalists enter into it, celebrity activists enter into it, and they start propagating a certain narrative, which is more suitable to their ideological position. For example, even that Greta Thunberg's issue. Now she is now channeling her, a completely different avatar today. We know her as a climate warrior. Now she's saying that the farm laws, which are supposed to make farming in India more environmentally sustainable, is actually a bad thing. So clearly they are uninformed, they are ignorant, and therefore it is very important for India to craft a proper narrative, a counter narrative, which can therefore demolish many of these claims that are being made in the social media space.
And Harsh, we'll talk about how dangerous it can be for celebrities who are unaware of the issue to propagate a narrative, because end of the day, they have millions of followers who are going to listen to them and perhaps take what they present as a fact. If I can turn to our colleague Amritpal Singh. Amrit, there's been timely intervention by the MEA. It has, in a very clear statement, spoken against the attempts to malign India through the online hashtags. Many celebrities are also involved. Indian government has also served notice to Twitter for disturbing hashtags doing rounds. So if you can just bring us up to speed with the developments that are taking place on that front.
Well, Shubhendu, the MEA put out this statement this afternoon after celebrities, international and foreign celebrities started tweeted about it, and it started going viral, given the fact that they have a lot of followers. And later, after Rihanna, Greta Thunberg joined, she's a climate activist. She's got a lot of mileage, and rightfully so, for her position on climate change. But she chose to delve into this area. Now, given this, there were others following them. So the government came out, the Ministry of External Affairs came out with a statement which basically put out 3 points. It says, one, this law is passed by the Parliament of India following all democratic processes. Second, the protesters have a right to protest in India. The Indian system, democratic system and democratic ethos allow that, and therefore they protested. Some minor segments believe in violence. They indulged in violence on the 26th of January. The government still is ready to engage with them. The government is engaging with them. And finally, the point that the MEA statement makes is that those who are unaware who do not have a proper understanding of these issues should resist the temptation of social media hashtags and sensationalist hashtags, and that is irresponsible on their part. So basically, without naming anybody, making the position clear that those who within the country with vested interests are trying to garner international support, and those who out of perhaps ignorance or vested interests are falling for it or are trying to propagate, it is an irresponsible behavior, which a democratic country like India, even if you disagree with the government, you have the right to protest. Our democratic ethos allow that. Our system allows that, though it is passed by the highest legislative body of the country, that's the Parliament of the country. But the government is still open and has even gone ahead and put it, has offered to put it on hold, which no less than the Prime Minister of the country has reiterated. So India making its position very, very clear that those trying to paint it as a situation of some sort of an emergency or lest those who are unaware, because these celebrities have huge followers, lest they mistakenly believe that it's some sort of a situation like in Myanmar or it's some sort of a crackdown like that, the government coming out and making its position on the issue clear.
Right. Amrit, do continue to stay with us. Harsh, if I can come to you with the point that we last took up. Rihanna, Greta Thunberg, millions of followers. It's not just about misplaced activism by celebrities, but also the repercussions that it can have, cascading effect. If celebrities of their stature propagate half-truths, it goes across to millions who believe it to be the real thing.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's where when you have no sense of responsibility, even when you might be very passionate about certain issues, but unless you are aware and unless you know what is going on actually in the country, to comment on it and also to label it, the fact that although the ones that you have named did not do it, but certain others, for example, on Twitter, that the government has said genocide is being propagated. Now, clearly, anyone who knows anything about India and anything what has been going on in the last few months and weeks in India knows that this is a political process going on in this country. It has happened in the past, it is happening today, it will continue to happen in the future. That's how democracies work. You pass a bill in the parliament, and therefore, and those who are not in favor of it will protest, and that space is reserved for them. So clearly not being aware, and I'm not, I don't think either Rihanna or Greta Thunberg or some of the others, they even know ABC of what Indian democracy is about or how Indian democracy functions. So clearly for them to ratchet up this issue to a level and therefore to almost incite their followers and say, look, something very undemocratic is happening, is not only doing injustice, to the cause to which they claim to represent, but also doing injustice to their millions of followers who perhaps will just follow them blindly and say, oh my God, something terrible is happening in India without actually knowing what is going on and actually looking at the ground reality. So therefore, this celebrity sensationalization has been part of the problem. With social media, it has become even bigger problem now. And therefore, I said in the at the very beginning that this combination is very toxic when you have big tech and you have social media activism, celebrity activism in the garb of ignorance, that can create all kinds of ripple effects across the world on all kinds of issues. So today it is India, and tomorrow it will be any other country. But remember, it is only democracies that allow you to do that. India is a democracy where media is covering these protests. World media is allowed to cover these protests. So therefore, you know about them. There are multiple countries in the world, some major powers in the world that do things behind closed doors where you are not allowed to report, where there you have nothing to say. So clearly the challenge for the world and for the media and big tech is also to look at this issue very, very seriously and responsibly.
Absolutely. And MEA also clearly highlighted that the protests, the farmers' protests, the logjam, the deadlock, the talks have to be seen in the context of India's larger democratic ethos. Praful, I'll turn to you. Another thing that MEA says, an interesting phrase, it says vested interest groups are behind these acts of maligning India, whether online or otherwise. You also mentioned about a coterie that operates within the country, many outside of the country, who've been dedicated to this cause of bringing a bad name to the country. The issues keep changing, but the idea is to project India in a bad light. Is it possible to identify this coterie? Does it have a face? Does a group have a name? How do you identify it? Because it's difficult to fight an invisible enemy like that.
No, those names are known, that their ideology is known, but they deliberately keep it faceless, or they keep propping new faces every now and then because their established faces are already rejected, whether in the political space or in the in the actual social activism, and that is their problem. Now you don't tell me, I can understand about the ignorance of Greta Thunberg or Rihanna because they don't know ABC about India or farming, anything of it.
But can they afford to be ignorant is also the point, Praful. When you have millions of followers, when you know what you post is going to be consumed by millions, many youngsters for that matter, can you afford to be irresponsible at that level?
But that is all, the being celebrity is all about, because somebody is managing for them, somebody is positioning them, somebody is propping them for certain issues. So it is a classic, market management. But the forces who are, aligning, and that shows the ecosystem that is working against India when India is, about to take up in the post-COVID situation, when all economic indicators on positive lines, new budget has come up. In this background, now can you believe, Shivendu, that genocide. Now the people who are managing this, I can name those groups who are actually a 20 people group who actually manage this entire operation. Now this group and the celebrity journalist who actually promoted that hashtag, don't they even know this basic thing that genocide is essentially a identity based, especially ethnic identity based action taken by any government or group against the other group. Now farmer is neither an ethnicity nor an identity in a country like India.
Right.
When you say 60% India is in somewhere involved in agriculture or agriculture allied activities in rural areas, can you have genocide against this community as such? This is nonsense. They know this very well. They are deliberately doing this, and this deliberation has to be countered, and platforms like Twitter are promoting this simply because, again, it is part of the ecosystem management. So they will play their games to curtail free speech, and they will promote the hashtag related to free speech. So this is for complete contradiction. This is manipulation, and therefore I'm really glad whether MEA or Ministry of Telecommunications both are taking a stand, and it shows that it is a different India. It stands for its position globally. It stands for the democratic values.
Right.
This is the country of Gandhi, and Gandhi had given three core principles. If there is an agitation, the agitation, the objectives should be very, very clear. The leaders should be responsible, clearly identified, and they should take the responsibility. And third, even if there is even element of violence is happening there, then this is not satyagraha, this is not civil disobedience. From day one, the people who are damaging Indian railway tracks, who are damaging mobile towers, and now we have seen what happened on 26 Jan.
Absolutely.
If somebody wants to believe that this is a peaceful protest, then sorry, Greta and her followers, you don't know anything about environment.
Right, those disturbing scenes of Republic Day are still fresh in our minds. Harsh, from the vested interest groups to talking about the platform, social media platform. In what manner do you think these platforms are also to be held accountable for the propagation of fake narratives, disturbing hashtags like genocide? I mean, students, when we read about genocides, whether it's Germany or elsewhere, it symbolizes, it represents a violence of a different stature. Here we're talking about protest within the democratic setup. To completely misplace and allow such hashtags to propagate, where does the accountability of social media platforms come in?
I think, Shubhendu, that's going to be the biggest question of our times. How do you manage these big tech, operations where platforms, where they seem to be now becoming the judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to free speech? They decide who is to be allowed and who is not to be allowed. Right. And on issues of such grave concern, they don't take, they turn a blind eye. That's for them, that's freedom of speech. So clearly the challenge now, especially for democratic countries, for democratic spaces, to regain that autonomy from big tech, because we cannot afford to be in a situation where unaccountable big tech companies decide how we think, what we think, and how that is to be articulated. Now, we have seen the whole Trump issue being played out in America, and how Mr. Trump was banned from Twitter. We see similar things happening in other parts of the world where certain where people of certain proclivity, certain inclinations are being targeted. And when we see on the other side, as you say, the issue of genocide, and how remarkable, that you don't understand the basics of what genocide is and how complicated and how critical that issue has been in the history of human evolution. And you throw it around as if, it doesn't have any costs. Now, when people who are sitting in these platforms, some very senior people, do not see the costs involved in throwing around these names and these articulations, I think the challenge for democratic governments across the world is to figure out how the platforms can be made more accountable.
And specifically, Harsh, how do you see? Right.
Indian government has taken that stand.
We're just running out of time. Specifically, Harsh, how do you see the way forward for the farmers' protests, the deadlock, 11 rounds of talks? suggestion by the government that the laws could be put on hold, but despite that, the logjam continues. And this propaganda challenge that is coming forth, what do you see the way forward, briefly?
Well, I think the first and important thing that India has done, and very rightly so today, is to give its own articulation to the challenge, and that we will not allow the false narratives being created abroad and with people who are completely ignorant about India to frame the narrative. And I think that's a very good start. Of course, the farmer protests and the government's interaction will continue, because I think that the two sides are still not in a position to come to a conclusion. But that's a democratic process that will evolve at its own pace. That process can't be dictated by people sitting outside Indian territory. And those who have no stake in India, that will be decided by a democratically elected government and those stakeholders in the process.
Right there, Praful, also your final thoughts as India fights against propaganda. What's the fate ahead for the farmers' protest that has been on?
I think the strategy should be two-pronged. One, the forces that want to that want to divide India, play their divisive politics on social lines, should be countered and exposed, and we together should come forward. I'm really happy that many celebrities in India also came forward and played their role. Secondly, I think now as the things are in judicial code and judiciary has already constituted a committee, there is a platform, there is an independent adjudicator who is ready to listen to both the sides. Now I think we should put our faith, judiciary should come forward and make sure that this organization should speak to the appointed committee and reach to certain conclusion about the implementation of these laws.
Right. On that note, let me thank you all, gentlemen, Praful, Harsh, also Amrit, for joining us in this engaging conversation about the manner in which India is fighting against propaganda, and how important it is to see the ongoing farmers' protest in the larger ethos of India's democratic setup. With that, we conclude this presentation. Namaskar.